think we're hot now. We should be hot. All right, we're back with another episode, but first the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out a complete list of the sponsors there. I want to thank a few of them now. Special thanks to Sig's Hour. You ever shoot a Sig? Go to New Hampshire. Live free or die. Go buy a Sig. Shout out to Volquartsen, Pulsar, Right On Optics, Blackwater Ammunition, Enforce Weapon Lights, Advanced Warrior Solutions, Gallo Tech, Rhino Metals, and there's a whole list underneath. I can't read them all every time, guys. Go support them. Daryl, if you're in the chat, please let everybody know all the sponsors. We appreciate you guys. Can't thank enough. This guest needs no introduction whatsoever. None. We have the one and only Ed Calderon from Eds Manifesto. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. I'm just enjoying Vegas.
Now, why are you here? I'm going to check your levels. Hang on.
Yeah. We just got finished doing 2 days of training related to covert entry concepts. And basically, we hosted a very talented gentleman named Matt Fiddler, who runs a company called SearPick, who provides specialized training and equipment related to basically getting around most of the conventional locks, conventional and specialized locks out there.
Break-in shit.
No, actually, we didn't break a thing. That's a cool side of it. It's mostly a mindset thing as far as the illusion or the delusion of security around us, and how you can use a COVID face shield to shim open a door that has a security combination on it. Pretty interesting stuff like that.
It's crazy. When I see the lockpick stuff, it's absolutely crazy. I'm glad you're in town. And, just so everybody knows, listening, this came in at the 11th hour. But last Ed and I left off because we've discussed many different things on this show, and he's been a gracious guest many times. But we started getting into the Coyotes. But here we are now with the border. We are all fucked up on the border.
Oh, yeah.
Completely fucked up. I want to get your thoughts on the no testing, everything that's going on down there, because it is a total clusterfuck. And I know your boots on the ground, right in the dirt. Tell me what's going on down there.
Last time I was here, somebody else was in the White House. The policies were different. Somebody else was in the White House. Again, I'm not going to make this political as far as me. It's like I can't even vote here, so that's about where I'm at with my politics. What clearly happened is somewhere during the start of this administration, there was a signal to all of the organizers that are building up some of these migrant caravans that the coast is clear.
They're riding coyotes, Ed.
That the coast is clear, that the doors are open, and that just come on in. Basically.
Is it still that bad? Is it still literally wide open, or are you feeling like you're hearing from guys that it's so overflowed?
And this is clear. The past administration provided at least some sort of support and or pressure towards the Mexican government to enforce its own southern borders, which is not there anymore. Anybody can go online and actually look and see the violent intrusion of some of these caravans past that southern Mexican border, and how they're making their way up to the U.S. border. All of the young unaccompanied minors coming along with them that are basically no father, no mother, mysteriously somehow being brought all the way to the border, and in some cases literally being tossed over the border. Literally being tossed over the border and drugged on their way through the border to keep them quiet. There's some nefarious stuff happening. I want to ask you, that's where I want to go with this. What are you hearing? How are they getting to the border? Because I feel like some of these countries are literally driving them in a fucking bus. It's not specifically that Mexico is driving these people to the border. It is that there's a financial backing and people invested in bringing some of these people towards the border and paying for things like buses.
Right.
Paying for things like cargo trucks. There's been a bunch of cases of some of these cargo trucks being abandoned in the desert after the driver didn't get paid or things like this, and just having these people being found by emergency services on their way up to the border.
Is there any data yet on how many are dying on their way?
Mexico is, if you want to get away with murder, go to Mexico. 90-some% of all
Jesus, I don't even
murders
mean to laugh, but
aren't solved. And, I mean, the missing in Mexico is like a insane number.
they don't even look anymore.
What I'm trying to say with this is that if you're looking for numbers, Mexico is not going to be the one to give them to you because it doesn't keep its own numbers, and also much less of undocumented people going through its borders on their way up to the United States.
Now, what do you think it is at this point? Is it votes? It's without being political. Like, why the incentive to just keep the border wide open and not vaccinate anybody? I feel like, again, we're not trying to be political. I'm trying to just more figure out the why. What is the reason?
I mean, I hear the whole people are worried about people not being vaccinated. I think the main worry that people should have is, I mean, they're not. We don't. A lot of these people are not known. You know. Mm-hmm. There have been many cases of people that are coming via Africa, Northern Africa, into South America and up into the country. There are a lot of people coming in with backgrounds. Most of the people that you see are male military age individuals. A few families, yes. A lot of unaccompanied minors and children.
Do you think we're being infiltrated by other military?
I think I think Mexico is rife with a lot of people that have external interest in the country. You know, there's reports of people with Han, you know, ethnic Han people working in places like Guadalajara right now, trying to secure mining rights. I think it is known that Mexico is a resource rich country, and it is basically a wide back door open into the United States.
And we talked about this last time about the lithium quite a bit, actually. And it was interesting to me with the whole Afghanistan pullout and the amount of lithium there. I mean, there's no question that was a disaster. Does it surprise you that beyond the disaster that the military equipment and everything else was left behind?
And it was surprising as far as how quickly it deteriorated.
Right.
But I don't have a direct experience with Afghanistan. All I can go is by my own experience in the places that I've worked. But I can tell you that a lot of those weapons that were left behind are probably going to end up in the black market and are probably going to be utilized for payments at some point in the future for drug loads going into Europe, and they're going to make their way. Basically just wait and see as far as finding a full auto M4 somewhere in Mexico. Most of the M4 and most of the AR-15s you find in Mexico right now are American semi-auto civilian grade stuff that are converted into full auto. Now we wait for that wave of weapons that are going to come in that are coming from this conflict.
I think I tried to explain it to people just a little bit so they would understand and have a little context. The military typically does leave a lot of munitions behind. Yeah, typically. Yeah. So I try not to beat that topic up too much. But do they leave helicopters and tanks, things like that? Typically, no.
I mean, what I see that they left behind is the night vision IR stuff.
All the ITAR stuff. Yeah.
All the ITAR stuff. I mean, I wish we had some of that stuff.
I'd trade mine, right? I would have traded my 14s for something they had, of course.
I wish we had some of that stuff, and I don't think that people understand how much it will change the game if that equipment paired with training and paired with a perfect storm of some nightmarish situation, and that can be utilized in a very effective way against conventional force anywhere in the world.
Now, you said this before on the show, and you were spot on. You said you want to understand what open borders are. Open the door to your house.
Yeah,
you were not wrong in saying that. You're 100% accurate. Is the door to the house still open?
The door is not only open; it's wide open, and there's a sign on it that says "Come in." Probably like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I posted a video of myself walking in one of the recent new migrant camps at the border. They're flying Biden flags over these camps. We talked to a few of them. We actually went in there with cameras, and one, they were pretty defensive about anybody and wanted to know kind of what that was for, and two, that they didn't appreciate anybody giving anybody any donations in the form of food or money without it going through the hands of the organizer. Weird shit happening there. The main thing is that they were all under the impression that Biden said that the doors were open and they were welcomed in, and then now is the time to come.
So it's not a foregone conclusion to say there's kidnappings going on, rapes, murders. I think robbery is the least of people's concerns now. It's safe to say all those things are going on.
People disappear. A lot of Americans have this concept of poor people going to the border and making it through somehow by themselves. There is no going through that border without paying for the pass to a coyote, and a coyote cannot work independently on that border without paying a cartel force or group. So the cartels are making bank on this open border signal that apparently is out there, or is being perceived by some of these migrant communities moving up into the border. They're making bank. There's no way you can cross that border without paying. You can't pay now? Cool. We'll put a little bracelet on you, and so we can keep track of you. And when we make it across, we'll put you in one of our worker community organizations where you are going to work off some of the debt you have to us.
Oh Jesus!
You can't pay right now? Cool. We're gonna keep you hostage somewhere in the U.S. Mind you, we're gonna keep you hostage
and tax
somewhere in the U.S. and tax your family that is already stateside till you get released. So
unfucking believable.
This is a business. This is a giant business for people. It's not people supporting this, and we need to realize that there's criminal organizations making bank on this. It's not just huddled masses coming to the border by their own means and figuring it out across. There's no such thing. Very bad people are making a lot of money by that.
I want to get into what they're doing when they come here, because are they diving right into working in the drug trade, or you seeing anything that's contributing to things like that as they come over? And
I mean, so first off, I've trained and talked to a lot of people that work that border on both sides. 100%.
Yeah.
So some of my opinions and points of view come from their opinions and points of view, and some of the opinions they expressed. And this includes border protection agencies on this side of the border. They are overwhelmed, overloaded. The mass of people coming through that border is the numbers are insane. And also, they are basically there to contain and process people right now. The drug interdiction into this country is being completely left as a secondary thing. It's Christmas. These criminal groups, this is Christmas. Why use a drug tunnel when you can just put a bunch of backpacks on a bunch of young dudes wearing full woodland camo and just crossing that border, as most of your border protection agency is preoccupied with the humanitarian side of the people flooding through that border and not worrying about backpacks full of fentanyl, a backpack full of fake pain medication, fake medication pills laced with fentanyl.
Why don't we see the fentanyl death numbers more? Why isn't that more prevalent? I feel like that should be discussed a lot more than it is.
I think it's confusing. I don't know. A lot of the fentanyl, a lot of the new wave of fentanyl trafficking is related to bogus pain medication and pill manufacturing. That's what you're seeing now as well. And imagine just somebody, hey, that guy just took some pain medications and went out. There's a lot more of that going on. There's a lot more heroin lace fentanyl stuff going on. There's a lot more in Mexico manufacturing of fentanyl going on. Somewhere during the COVID epidemic, the apparent need came into light that these cartel groups couldn't be dependent on shipping some of this precursor from from China into Mexico. The only cartel that actually maintained their supply was the New Generation cartel, and this only happened because they had access to the Pacific side ports. The Sinaloa cartel was actually smuggling fentanyl from the U.S. back into Mexico and up again in the United States when they laced their stuff. So now you're seeing like facilities in Mexico that are manufacturing this type of stuff. And again, who's going to teach you how to manufacture this?
Right.
China. The Chinese are the ones that's kind of involved in that whole side of it.
Of course, you brought that up last. Of course, it's terrifying. Tupac Shakur, I'm glad you're alive. He said, "Wow, I saw SoCal police open a trunk in an SUV, and he fainted because of the fentanyl."
Dubious.
Dubious.
Dubious. That's. I mean, I've seen fentanyl exposure myself.
Maybe it was a figurative faint.
I mean, what I saw in that video, and this, I'm not a medical professional, they actually posted about this on my Instagram feed, and I reshared some stuff from it. There's a guy called goes by Trauma Daddy on Instagram.
Oh, I think I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows way more about this than I do. He gave his professional opinion. A bunch of doctors jump in as far as a professional opinion. That looked like a panic attack to me. It looked like a panic attack to most of them. Fentanyl, that's not how an overdose of fentanyl looks like, or exposure to it. But yes, is it dangerous? It is very dangerous when consumed. It will kill you.
I'm just happy Tupac's alive. And he's in our feed. I'm just happy he's alive. He's right there. Just happy he's still alive.
Oh, cool. Tupac's awesome, man. Yeah, I know the U.S. thinks he was a gangster. You want to talk about a real gangster? Chalino. That guy was a gangster. Shooting people from stage in Coachella. It's a different world.
It's a whole different world.
Anyways.
Shout out to Tupac.
Shout out to Chalino. Wherever you are, too.
Wherever you are. So it's crazy. I mean, the fentanyl thing is troubling, and we touched on it last time. We didn't go as deep on it, but the drug thing really concerns me, because when these folks come here, they're looking for work, but they're not looking for the kind of work that in the past we've justified this type of immigration wrongly for that reason.
So people need to differentiate some of these people coming through. A lot of them are displaced Mexican too. When we went to the one of those camps on the border, some of the only people that would talk to me were other Mexicans that were actually that joined themselves to some of these migrant caravans. Most of them were actually fleeing from Michoacan, the state of Michoacan, which is right now it's a hive of cartel activity. It's pretty bad. But a lot of the people moving or fleeing in, this is from direct conversations with some of these people coming into the border, are under the assumption that they're going to be fed, housed, and everything's going to be fine and okay, right? And also that the unaccompanied minors are going to grow up in a system that's going to provide for them, and then later on they're going to be able to request their parents to come over. That's the whole mind. You don't hear like, oh yeah, we want to go over there and work and have seek out the American dream or start a business or stuff like that. That's, I mean, as far as some of the people that I got to talk to and see that were, from Central America, it's a different mindset. And again, people listening to this that are from Mexico can tell me I'm full of shit, but most Mexicans that have had the experience of hosting some of these migrant caravans through their states will tell you of the ungrateful nature of some of these groups, as far as the entitlement that they feel that people should basically feed them and house them, and how they've been tossing the food and some of those donations back into the faces of the people that have been trying to help them on their way up. The attitudes are not, I'm not generalizing to every single member of some of these caravans, but a bulk of them are pretty, it's pretty worrying as far as the attitude that some of them are carrying through the country. And again, they're viewing Mexico as a stepping stone to get to the United States.
Now, how do they get through all these states, for everybody that doesn't understand? And I know the term coyote, we joked about it. Is it just coyotes? Is it a trading of favors to get from? I mean,
there's no
Central America, Mexico.
There's no king of Mexico, and there's no single cartel in all Mexico. Although there's 10 years from now, there's probably going to be a single major cartel force all over Mexico, or maybe less. But they basically have to go through a bunch of different criminal organization controlled territories. So there's no going through these territories without paying for protection and or for somehow paying or getting taxed by some of these groups, right? Also, if you're a female going through all this environment,
Can't be good.
I mean,
no good's happening.
There's nobody there monitoring their human rights. There's no female liberation organizations on their backs. It's also pretty interesting and surprising. You see some of these organizations meet them and greet them at the border, but have no idea what they go through when they go through Mexico, and what that means for some of these. I mean, minors, children, kids, women. That also some of them don't make it all the way to the border.
Can we handle 3 more years of this, Ed? I mean, I got to be honest. I'll be honest to everybody listening. I sent a text today to Donnie, to Junior. I said, actually, it might have been Eric. I said, there's no way we can do this for 3 years. There's no way.
I posted a video. It's not my video. I shared it on my feed. There's a link to where I got the video. And it's a individual with 2 or 3 children around them that are completely sedated. It's the middle of the night. They just crossed the border. There's a bunch of children there. You can go into the comments and everybody's, oh, they're just tired. I have children too. They're just tired, been traveling or walking for 3 days. That's what they are. And there's also a lot of comments from medical professionals telling you, a kid that is tired, the dilation of the pupils doesn't match up with somebody that's tired. Through Hypnol or some other medication is probably being utilized, which is a classic thing that is done all over Central and South America. Beggars will drug their kids so they're quiet as they seek out donations and money. These kids are being legit drugged and trafficked across the border, and their parents are nowhere in sight. I don't know if anybody is aware that some of these drugs are actually lethal in some of these doses, and I don't know if some of these kids have actually died from overdosing on some of these medications they're giving them to keep them quiet or to keep their mouths shut, sedated as they go across. Now, why would you do that? You know, and that's happening at your border, and that is not on the news. At least that's not on any news that not national news that I've watched. You know,
I just don't know how we do this for 3 years. Now, a few people have asked, and people have already asked where they can get the shirt. Where can they get the shirt? Is it available yet?
Yeah. It's out.
We're available.
I'll log on. Just go to my Instagram account, and I'll link it up there so people can get a Pelavacas t-shirt. It's at Sneaker Reaper Industries.
Yeah. What about some people asking if you're going to have class in Chicago?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm open to traveling anywhere. If you guys are willing to host, I'm all about traveling out there and doing training for anybody that wants it. Definitely.
So, Chicago coming soon. I want to ask a few questions about what they can do to fix it at the border, because how do they fix it?
So I know this is not a political thing.
Fucking with my mic, I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. So yes, there was a large investment in a border fence wall made by the past administration. I think that was part of a solution, but not even half of it. This opinion comes from me actually speaking to some of the people that work on that border. I think more needs to be done as far as paying, equipping, and supporting the people that are actually working on that border to secure it. Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol, BORTAC, Homeland. You need more people, more equipment, more technology, and you need to pay them better. You want to talk about thankless, really hard and horrible jobs? That is a pretty big one.
How short-staffed are they?
I mean,
20% capacity, 50.
They can't handle what the workload they're getting right now is unmanageable. This coming from just seeing some of the. I mean, there's no way they're equipped and manned enough to handle the overflow of people that are getting right now.
How has the volatility of the situation affected people who own property or ranch land? That's from Hammond of Texas asking.
I've seen trail camera video and security video of full kitted up cartel incursions into the United States through ranch properties. So it's probably affected them.
How come we haven't heard about anybody defending the land? I feel like we haven't heard those stories.
That's a curious observation. I know for a fact, and this is not just me saying it. You can go online and research some of this stuff yourself. Armed incursions by cartel members and/or cartel members dressed as the military, the Mexican military, into the United States, into some of these properties, escorting loads and/or picking up something on the U.S. side of it, or securing routes, is not unheard and unknown. I have not heard of anybody defending property with their firearms in that area. Why is that? I have no idea. Maybe it's happened. It's been kept quiet.
You think there's anything to the theory that certain people are buying land close to the border to facilitate the movement?
I mean, it would be a pretty good investment the way things are right now as far as trying to secure. Yeah.
And not to be a conspiracy theorist, that's a whole nother layer. But
so, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but the places where the border is the most built up and secure are the places where the most drugs flow under it, over it, and around it. That is the. I mean, it's most of the drugs in the United States are not flowing through the Sonoran Desert in the middle of nowhere. They're flowing through the San Ysidro and Ojai ports of entry, under it, over it, around it, through it.
I want to ask you a question a lot of people ask me, and I don't have the answer to it. Why are we seeing this at the southern border and not so much at the northern border?
Like, what do you mean?
Are we seeing the same activity at the northern border?
As far as people coming into the country?
From Canada.
You do see it. It's a different type of migrant, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a middle class or economically solvent migrant coming into the country. The easiest way you can get into the country is flying from Mexico City to Canada. All you need to have is to prove that you have some financial security. That's pretty easily faked. And the Canadians are pretty good about not asking for certain visas right now. So fly to Canada and walk down, drive down, or get a boat and go through one of the major lakes into the United States, which is exactly what polleros are doing and have been doing that for a few years now.
Now, how does this end on the border? In your opinion, how does it play out?
I think again, I've said this a few times. I think we are gearing up to see some sort of American military interventionism in Mexico.
You talked about this last day, yeah.
And I think it's not going to be related to mass migration. I think it's not going to be related to cartel activity. I think it's going to be very much related to the deposits of lithium and resources in the northern part of Mexico. And they are key to the United States' capability of competing at a global scale, technology-wise. It is clear that some of these regions right now are already hotbeds of activity of a lot of weird foreign actors.
Yeah, the intriguing thing is the China influence on the southern border, and you alluded to that. I haven't seen much written about it, though we know the fentanyl and a lot of the materials to produce a lot of the drugs, everything are coming from that. But how this plays out with the amount of stress placed on the border and the amount of stress placed on the workers there. I mean, I saw clips this weekend, and again, it's not about party. I'm just talking about the current state. I mean, people are at football games, like, it's out of control. I mean, I don't know how this plays out and how this ends, but we got 3 more years of this. This guy's not going to survive.
I mean, I think you guys, I mean, when I say you guys, I mean, I'm part of this.
Right. We're all in this together at this point, right?
I'm part of this experiment myself as well now. I think the United States is involved in a generational war with an enemy that hasn't had it's not a war like you fought in the past. It's an enemy that has a clear intention to corrode you generationally. through drugs, through influence. I mean, if you're in the NBA, you can't say Taiwan, which is pretty interesting to see that as a foreigner here. Well, I mean, I wasn't born here. I'm trying to make my way here, and seeing that you can't say Taiwan in the NBA is amazing. In the United States, like
I think the Cena thing was very eye-opening.
That's another, that's another example of things that things are changing, how things are changing in the United States. And I think the main thing is that people need to realize that the United States is involved in a generational war with an undeclared enemy, that has interests within the United States and outside of the United States, and doesn't play by the rules as you guys do. They have a president for life, and you're struggling between two parties. They have, you may laugh at their aircraft carriers or their attempted aircraft carriers, but that type of warfare doesn't matter anymore. I think the economic influence, the geopolitical influence that they are exerting through their actions, and the way they're handling their warfare, it's generational warfare they're doing right now, is pretty interesting.
It's from the inside out.
It's from the inside out, and also, I mean, you don't if they can't throw a rock at the country that spends the most on its military, they'll throw a rock at the neighbor.
I said it the other day. We had a representative in Congress literally have an intimate experience with a spy from China, literally, and it was like back page news. Like, it was almost irrelevant. In the anniversary of September 11th, I have to bring it up. I mean, that would have been crazy as of September 12th, 2001. You would have been absolutely run out of the government like that. It's amazing how the country's changed in 20 years. Yeah. In 19 years, 364 days, how the country's changed.
I mean, seeing... That was an interesting, weird coincidence. You saw that C-130 fly off with people on it, falling off it. That plane was number 0119, right? Mm-hmm. It's amazing how it started with people, a plane crashing into a building and people falling out of it. And it ended with a plane with a number 911 on it with people falling off it, And
they tried to act as if those weren't people, and then a few people blew it up and...
Well, it's a weird flipping of, and then how, where's I remember post 9/11 America, and it's like, and again, I got to experience that from the outside.
Right.
I got to see the Buckingham Palace, the Queen of England order the guard to play the Star Spangled Banner. It's pretty interesting. And Afghanistan falls, and everybody's like,
It's crazy. It's like, I don't know if we're going to get to an answer on how this ends and how it plays out. But I'm honestly, after seeing some of the clips and the videos, and seeing the reaction to the current administration, and now again, it's not a political thing. It's actually quite terrifying. It's scary. I mean, it's scary. I mean, I'm blown away at what's going on and what's being allowed. Really.
I mean, I don't have any direct experience in the Middle East. But I have a lot of friends that do and did. And seeing some of the just desperation and heartbreak by some of these people that put in all of that effort, sacrificed that much into such a project that may have been, ill-conceived or, there's a lot of bullshit that happened at the start of it, and as far as reasoning. But the message it sends to the world, and this is something I posted on my Instagram account. What does it matter that we leave Afghanistan and leave all these people behind? What does it matter if we leave these interpreters behind? We've invested too much in it. Let's leave. Your children will fight in a war somewhere in the future, and will try and seek out friends at a global stage. And those friends that they're going to try and seek out will remember the day that you left all these people behind. Mm-hmm. And this poison is going to affect your kids. If this is how you treat your friends, you won't have any friends later on. And I think the true damage of what happened in Afghanistan as far as the pullout is that the effects on your children trying to seek out friends at a global scale, and what America means now, it means something completely different than 20 years ago.
I said this not long ago. I think we're going to lose, and I think we're going to lose bad. And I said this to you before about especially the Second Amendment. We're going to lose, and we're going to lose huge. And a lot of it has to do with what you're talking about, the internal death from within, cancer from within, things that have been pushed upon us, things that have been impressed upon us. And I think the United States, just in general, I think is ripe for the fall. I think you have too big of an upper class that controls a lot of things and is so disconnected, so removed from what's actually happening at the ground level that's causing so much angst and pressure.
We just did a trip to Guadalajara. We went down there and did some training for some amazing people. And a lot of that training took place in some of the poorer communities of Guadalajara. Places where you would see a technical drive by with a guy with a 50 cal in the back, right? You mind your own business, it's fine. And then we flew to LA. And then you realize, it's not the third world, it's something else. It's something else. That's a place where the corrosion is very apparent. I'm from Tijuana. I wash my hands when I want to take a shower when I go on the streets of LA, and I'm from Tijuana, right? Ed, you're from Tijuana. That's dirty. No, dude, Los Angeles, Seattle. See, the memory I have of Seattle is a seagull with a needle sticking out of its gullet. That's the memory.
You never told me that.
That's the memory I have of Seattle, right?
That's fucking amazing.
Which is, again, Seattle. Seattle, you go here. There's a lot of needles in Seattle. There's a lot of news in Seattle. Again, I'm new here. I'm experiencing things for the first time. I don't have a long time here, but my first experience in some of these places have been seeing how far gone it is, or seeing how this is not like I saw. I remember seeing Sleepless in Seattle. I didn't see a seagull with a needle coming out of it.
That's crazy.
Again, this is my perception and my worry, because I'm invested. I'm invested here. I made my bet. I came here legally. I went through the whole process, which is not easy. Going through it legally and by the book, it is not an easy process. And I'm struggling. And I came here with absolutely nothing but my name. This country has been amazing to me, and it is saddening and worrying seeing how things are going right now.
Now you get to travel and you get to talk to all these guys, especially some of the three-letter guys. How are they internalizing this? How are they getting through this?
Desperation. You can see the desperation. You can see the conflicted side of some of these people, where they're, it's clear that the post 9/11 patriotism and the post 9/11 push that some of these people had for service, and that's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
I was listening to the radio the other day, and I heard multiple ads for law enforcement, sheriff's departments.
Nobody wants to grow up to be a cop anymore. There's probably a few out there. This is what I hear about of law enforcement across the United States. Academy numbers low. Recruitment is down, down. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. Going through the whole process this country went through, as far as it's some of the high profile cop related murders and or killings that happened, and the protests that came out of them, and the media perpetuating this, the actions of a few horrible people, maybe, or the omissions of some of these people, and how that affects a whole community of people that will respond when you have an emergency in this country, and how that has corroded the institution or the badge at a national level with the youth. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore.
There's a couple of things that are really troubling to me I want to get to, especially in law enforcement, but I was going to say the way some areas are still trying to keep numbers creatively up so that they can sell the narrative of defund the police and everything else. I talked to a buddy. I'm not going to say his name. He's still in law enforcement. He went to the same academy as me. I graduated Reserve Academy. I graduated Melita 8, in case anybody wants to know. So I've had people on I've worked with, but this guy said to me that they're seriously considering Massachusetts rolling up all the reserves that have like graduated the last X amount of years into full-time status with a small bridge class. I was like, what?
Portland, a bunch of them just collectively resigned. The Paw Patrol was canceled because there's a cop in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that. That's a cultural sign.
So
Paw Patrol.
And why am I like mentioning all these things? Like I was part of a police institution in a country that went through some of the same processes you're going as far as the corrosion of public sentiment towards the police back in the 90s and the 80s and 90s. And I know where this leads.
Mm-hmm.
It leads to lowered standards, which is what's happening in some of these communities. It leads to lower quality law enforcement professionals. And
terrible quality.
And it leads to corruption.
Yeah.
And corruption leads to more corruption. And you want to talk about like really, really feeling the third world here. I think it's a bad sign when the standards are lowered and people don't want to just grow up to be go into law enforcement like they did before, because they have been sold and programmed into just viewing everybody with a badge as a monster.
It's really curious to me, the infiltration from within, and you're familiar with a lot of unconventional approaches. I think this is the new normal. This is the new quote unquote infiltration from within, the disruption. And I think if people don't open their eyes to it really, really quickly, and I'm not talking about, to everybody listening, I'm not talking about running out and buying a MAGA hat. That's all well and great, but pay attention. Yeah. Watch the news. Pay attention to what you're being fed, because it's probably a big pile of bullshit.
Systematic corrosion. Lower the confidence in the police or authority of federal, state, local police. Lower the confidence in that, and replace it with other authorities. Mexico replaced it with cartel figures. That's who polices some of the communities down in Mexico, right?
It's like the mafia.
This is how it starts. And trust me, I know this.
I think the only thing that broke our way a little bit in terms of like fell apart was a little bit of the Hollywood stuff, because I see Hollywood as on fucking life support at this point. And I think some of the propaganda that comes out of Hollywood, I think people are sick of it. I think people are sick of the Academy Awards. I think they're sick of the Hollywood, bullshit, the Weinstein bullshit, whether they're vampires eating little kids. But I think that attempt to infiltrate through Hollywood, I think, has kind of run its course. I think everybody knows Hollywood is shit at this point. So I'm not quite sure that worked to their advantage. Movies are way down. Nobody's going to theaters. Nobody's, you have media. That's what worries me, is the news media. Yeah.
Somebody saying that masks work, and they don't, but he's sticking to his guns. He wasn't involved in something that he was clearly involved in. All that stuff is like, holy shit, this is like in the open.
I think they've given Fauci way too much power. That's a whole nother story. That's a separate podcast.
That's not me being. I don't wear a tinfoil hat.
Right.
I call it shit as I see it. But that to me is like that's Banana Republic shit.
Yeah, he's in like a lifetime appointment now as I would call him the health czar.
Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah. Literally.
Put masks on and shit like that. Again, this is what worries me. This is what keeps me awake at night.
So what should people do? What advice would you give them?
Prepare. Pay attention. When I say prepare, I don't mean become a prepper.
Don't buy canned goods.
Don't buy canned goods.
You could take it with a gun.
One of the things that I tell people when I do training is one of the most powerful acts of subversion and some of the one of the most revolutionary acts that people can do is become self-sufficient. So whatever that may mean, or wherever your capabilities can take you into becoming self-sufficient, figure that out for yourself and your family. You don't like what they're doing at school? Educate yourself so you can educate your children. Homeschooling or whatever that might mean for you. You don't trust the local police because they're corrupt or whatever, or you just want to be self-sufficient. Don't just buy a gun. Become trained to be proficient with that firearm, and also train your family, because you can be the John Wick of the world, and your family doesn't know shit about firearms and or safety and or how to apply a tourniquet. So they're going to be a liability. You want to create assets of the people around you. What do I recommend people do is prepare. I think that's the main thing. And if you have rights, those rights come with responsibility. I came to this country like, you guys can have guns here? Yeah. That's awesome. And I remember going through my immigration process in California right when those the first batch of legislation came in, when you had to have a bullet button to your rifle and California compliant things, and I saw that go away in the span of a few months, and I was like, wait,
you have to have a magic Zelda gun.
What's going on?
It's not.
What's going on, right? And then ammo shortages, which in this country.
That's a total horseshit. I will debunk the ammo thing 50 times.
Well, before you go into that, you could get ammo black market in Mexico cheaper than you would get it here in the United States, legit. And that whole thing was like, that's how they're that whole process of people just getting completely tied up in that nonsense and not being able to.
The worst part about the ammo thing was they were using influencers from within the firearms community to sell the narrative that, oh yeah, we've had a run on ammo. I mean, dipshits like Calderon Noir were going out there saying, oh yeah, it's hunters, it's this one, it's that one. I mean, they have no idea. First of all, the ammo shortage was the result of 6 Hour driving up the bid for the Remington purchase through Vista. And anybody who doesn't see it that way is a fucking moron. Okay, that's first. Okay, anytime in business when you drive the price up of ammunition at that corporate level of anything, of a stock, of anything, companies are going to get pissed. And Sig got pissed, and now Tom's going to come out with all kinds of, and Ron's going to come out with all kinds of low-cost ammunition, because why? They already control the whole other side of the market. Once they come out with low-cost ammunition, it's going to be an easy sell. And of course, Remington went out and bought itself a huge runway to produce tons of ammunition, and so did Winchester. But people don't realize the ammo, 3 of our largest manufacturers are controlled by one company. So get it out of your head right now that you think there was a run because somebody went to fucking Cabela's and bought a case of ammunition. That is a pipe dream.
What did this ammo shortage teach us as a country?
Don't rely on being sold it by a store.
So whatever that lesson is, that's part of the subversive and disruptive part of it, how people need to change who they are. Pay attention to shit like this. Not only pay attention, take notes. This is not the last time this is going to happen, I think. I'm under the weird suspicion that if you can't limit the proliferation of guns in this country, you can limit other things.
Yeah, they're going to tax the ammo. That's 100% what's coming.
And you can't ban guns maybe, or the genie's out of the bottle, but the ammo. And the main thing about that is worrying is that now you have an uneducated, untrained community with people that have guns, but they can't train with them. So that's even more dangerous, I think. And again, knowledge is power. So whatever that means to you, be it, again, we just did a class on covert entry, which basically crumbled away to the illusion of security that some of the padlocks in the front of your house might give you, or the locking mechanism in the hotel room that you're staying at has, and how we bypass some of these things with things we bought at a dollar store.
I saw that with the mask you posted.
So whatever that could be, to people, is realizing that at least I show those types of things with the intention of people to prepare. And one of the ways you prepare is to realize what the problem is. And another way you prepare is to realize that there's somebody out there that is against you. Well, they're not necessarily against you, they're for themselves. And what I mean by this is they might want something you have, or they might view you as an opponent or an obstacle for them to get what they want. And a way you prepare for that is to realize their mindset, realize what they do, why they're doing it, and come up with ways of defending and or counteracting that. And this goes across the board. Politics, immigration, people trying to limit your ability to not only maintain firearms, but also maintain proficiency with those firearms, which I think that's how you get people. That's how you get firearm owners. You attack their ability to maintain proficiency with that firearm, you know?
The worst part is the NSSF and NRA are numb to it. They're no help. They're totally fucking useless. They're no help. And, you know, everybody's clamoring around for credit right now with the recent step down of Chipman. You know, again, that's great. It's a small victory. They'll get somebody else in there. It's only a matter of time. It extends it. I think guns are going to be directly attacking the gun are going to be a little bit of a taboo thing for a hot minute because they don't know who all the new gun owners are. That's the one thing they didn't count on. They have no data on who those gun owners are. So
COVID happened, and everybody's like, can I borrow your gun? Can I buy a gun? I saw those lines of new gun owners in places like LA just
through the roof.
Right? So
got a lot of pro 2A Democrats running around out there now.
Hopefully they remember that fear.
Right.
Because that's what really was driving those purchases, fear. But hopefully that fear can turn into preparation.
Let me ask you this: How do you see the social media thing playing out? Because we're getting squeezed at every angle. Are we doomed on social media?
Yeah, we're doomed. We're doomed. Well, I'm not.
I think the only thing that saves it is the publishing laws. If they can get that in place with the new, in the midterm elections, if they can get some type of publishing law in place.
So one thing I'll say is this: yes, social media is squeezing out people that have specific self-reliance mindset that are pro-gun,
capable. Just want to be more capable.
People that want to be capable. Yes, come up with ways or alternative platforms for some of these for some of these communities and viewpoints, but stay and resist. Every now and then I get some content blocked on my Instagram account, or I get shadow banned. And an example of this, I posted a picture of a lady holding an AK-47, and she is part of the communal group, that armed group somewhere in Mexico that decided to rise up against cartel influences around their community and basically arm themselves, and they're policing their own region. That got reported and taken down. So I took that picture of her, put it through a cartoon type filter, and reposted it back as part of a collection of pictures on top of a desktop. And that didn't get banned, right? And basically just reposted the same thing. That's resistance. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing the point on. Resistance, disruption. If I know social media is squeezing, the people need to figure out ways around it. I mean, that's a proactive approach.
I think it's about being everywhere, Ed. I think you got to be on all the platforms. You have to hedge your bets. You have to be, and this is why I tell everybody listening now and supporters of you that are in even the chat, you got to share this stuff. You have to like the stuff. Even if this is one of the things that has to be set aside, especially in the gun industry, because the firearms and defense industry are the biggest dick measuring contest in the world, and it's full of idiots that just want to fight each other and correct people on what an AR means. You have to get past all that, and you have to start to support guys and support gals, and you have to start to push the narrative. I'm not trying to say like go soft on people or give people a pass or shit like that, but
I get it. Leather belt doesn't make a good tourniquet. Tampons on gunshot wounds, and then get into a whole fluster. Everybody, but
don't flag everybody.
Everybody's gonna fucking raise their arms. You don't need a $400 knife to kill somebody. You can do it with a kitchen knife from Walmart. ARs versus AKs, like whatever you are, whatever's going on. It's a conversation.
Whatever you are,
whatever you're into, it's a conversation. I think the main thing people need to focus on is the fact that conversation is happening. It needs to continue happening. Now, where will it happen? Instagram is flagging this. They're shadow banning this. Doesn't matter. I'll figure out a way. I'll share it through my stories. Instagram is really suffering right now because TikTok is almost going to kill it. So they're putting a lot of effort into making more engagements flow. If you post a reel video, which is basically a bootleg TikTok type format. So post more stuff there. That's one way of getting around it. If you promote any sort of firearms on your platform on TikTok, you'll get banned or your stuff will get put down. So start a Telegram community, a Telegram channel.
I have one. Yeah, I did one. They make a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Like I have a Telegram channel that is out there.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I can't promote it, but if people want to find it, they'll make an effort. It is where I share a lot of horrible, dark content, and I don't share it just to be gory about it. It is information that is out there. I know some agencies actually take some of those videos that I share that come out of horrible places down south, and some agencies take those and put them on presentations for people that are in harm's way, or they take some information from them. If I posted any of that stuff on Instagram, I would be banned for life. And I remember back in the day, people that have been following me long enough remember some of the content that I used to share on Instagram, which is pretty gory. It's not that anymore because Instagram has policies and they think that some of these things shouldn't be on social media. They get to dictate that.
I think the only thing that saves us there is if they can get to midterm elections, which are very close, and there is a shift. You can put in copyright laws or publishing laws, okay? Scratch that, publishing laws. And if you start subjecting, whether it's Twitter or Facebook and some of these entities to publishing laws, you'll see them clean their act up real quick because then they open themselves up to libel. Yeah. So that's where you'll see, because they'll get buried in lawsuits.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's again, that's one of those ways you can be disruptive. But I think that's what we need as a community, the disruptive element of it. The staying and being disruptive part. Not, I'm going to leave to this new conservative platform that nobody really goes to.
No, I thought.
Stay and be loud as, can I say?
Fuck.
Griten a la verga. Quédense y griten es a la verga. Stay and be loud as fuck and disruptive. That's what we need. Fuck this whole going on another fucking social media platform and being fucking, we're going to go to this new conservative platform. Fuck that. Stay, be loud, be disruptive. Figure out ways to get around fucking rules. Figure out ways to find different platforms related to the same social media. Support each other. And again, be disruptive.
I hated Parler and Rumble, and I'll tell you why. They were horrible. Yeah. And not only were they horrible, when you signed on to Rumble, you'd look and people had like 800,000 subscribers. It was like so gamed, and all they tried to push down your throat was like the 4 people from Fox News, and like 2 people from the NRA, and it was like, we're gonna shove these people down your throat, and they're honestly the worst.
Yeah. Well, again, the thing that makes these social media problems like Instagram, Twitter, and all these things the powerhouses they are is because people can get into some fucking weird conversations in there, that's what we need. Now, you get kicked out of it if you kicked out of it, shadow banned, and or canceled if you're of a certain political affiliation. That's fine. That's just the way the game is rigged.
Is cancel culture dying though?
A little bit.
I think they're having a hard time selling the cancel thing. I think when guys like Bill Maher stepping up and saying, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, my fear, Ed, is that push towards perfection, even in law enforcement and guys you're dealing with, that push towards you have to be perfect.
Yeah, you can't have some weird view of any kind. You can't have some sort of past. You can't have. I mean, I was a cop in Mexico. You want to talk about shady past, right? But you can't have any sort of fucking background. Basically, you have to be fucking newly born out of a pod, like a Matrix style, right? That's just, I think the cancel thing is Again,
I think it's running its course because you can't hold. I mean, when people dig up like 5-year-old tweets, I'm like, or 10-year-old tweets, I'm like, what's the statute? There's a statute of limitations on everything. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, being stupid,
Like,
it's fine.
and the context is all lost. Like, somebody could have been saying it to somebody else. It's like,
I've posted some pretty inflammatory, horrible stuff in my past, and people can dig some of those things up. But a lot of things, I mean, I think again the conversations need to be had. There's a need for both the right and the left. That's clear. I mean, both of them are needed. People there to fucking guard the wall, and people there to fucking come up with a new way of building a wall.
Here's my.
I think that conversation is what's happening on social media, and when it gets too skewed to one side or the other, that's when shit like what's happening now kind of starts coming to the surface.
Here's my big issue, and I want to get your thoughts on it because we already are flying by and we're losing time. We're flying by. So the problem I see, whether you're right, left, forward, straight, whatever it is in the spectrum of guys, you sit with gals, you sit with, if you're a racist, the right will say, you go in this box, right? If you're an evangelical, you go in this box. The right uses boxes.
Yeah.
The left refuses. Nobody's in a box.
No.
So you have, whether it's the AOC, the tribe or the group or whatever they call themselves, the squad, the whatever they are. No, there's no ability to say, you know what? We like some of those beliefs, maybe, okay, but we're going to put them in a box over here.
Yeah.
And that to me is going to be the downfall of it all. There's no willingness to say, you know, like when we had the Tea Party. People were willing to say, that's the Tea Party. They're a little nuts. You know what I mean? They're a little on the fringe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all said that, right? Yeah. And then on the left, you get these people that cry out, we want to put $1 trillion into trees. We want to put $1 trillion into grass. We want to do this. There's no ability to say that's great. It's noble. But I'm not sure that's correct.
Yeah.
So there's no placing of, and this isn't my belief system, guys. I know it sounds like I'm giving some crazy. This is something Jordan Peterson's talked about. This is something that a lot of guys have discussed very openly, and I want to cite it because that is going to be a huge problem, and eventually it's going to lead to battles because you know what's going to happen next if it goes the other way. They're going to start to turn on him because they're going to realize he's a better story as an invalid than he is right now. That's what's going to happen in the next 2.5 years. So we saw it with Cuomo. We're going to see it going forward with him very slowly because he's a better story as a fucking invalid.
Yeah.
He's just a better news story. Whether you like politics or not, or you're political or not, when you run around and you're taking pictures with everybody in MAGA hats and you're being chanted at and you're being literally goaded, it's only a matter of time before they turn on him because the media is going to go like this. It's a pretty good story.
Yeah.
Like, we got to run with this. Yeah. Like, with Cuomo, they couldn't resist anymore. He was running around and he was like, I'm Italian. That's what I do. I'm Napolitan.
That's pretty. That was a great. I found it hilarious. I'm Italian.
I'm Italian. I grabbed her. What?
Yeah, I'm Mexican, you know.
That's how we are.
I like tacos.
Yeah, she wanted to dance. It's no big deal.
That's pretty great. One of the things that surprises me a lot about my perspective is I wasn't born in this country, and when I hear things about racism and people being racist and stuff like that, you want to talk about racist? Don't people like the Ku Klux Klan or like white ultranationalist extremism? Go to Asia. Go to Asia and ask the Japanese what they think about the Koreans. What the Japanese think about the Koreans. Go to Southeast Asia and see how they treat light-skinned Asians versus dark-skinned Asians.
Amen.
The outside of the confines of the United States, racism is rife culturally and infused in some of these cultures. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's a bigger problem. It's a bigger problem outside of the confines of the United States than it is within it in a lot of ways.
100%.
But I mean, as far as how it's really, like, I'm from Mexico. You see a telenovela and all the people that are white-sicans, you know, white, blonde, blue-eyed people speaking Espanol, right? That's what I grew up with. You go into a social experiment with some Mexican kids. You give them a brown Barbie and a blonde Barbie, and you ask them which one the evil one is, And of course they're going to go by the telenovelas. All the villains in the telenovelas were, they had an eye patch and they were like brunettes. Those were the villain ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's that, and we still have blackface comedy on TV in Mexico. That is, that is something to worry about. United States, I mean, you can't get away with shit like that.
You can't get away with anything.
You can't get away with
I don't even know how
like
comedians survive. That I don't understand.
You can't get away with some of the shit that I grew up with, and it's still prevalent in Mexico here. So that's like, I always find it fascinating how racism is at the top of the conversation here.
Well, listen, we've been going for a while. I don't want to keep you. I know you got 100 things. Listen, I love having you.
Awesome.
I do. How long have we been going for? Like an hour and a half. I don't know if we can get a time on it. If anyone has any questions for Ed, don't hesitate to ask him now. I don't want to keep him. His schedule's tight. He's only in Vegas for a little while, but I do want to take a minute and thank all you guys. Please like, subscribe. Please share the story. I want to throw it back to you, Ed, for one last question. Where will you be coming up? Because I know NRA was canceled and SHOT Show is probably not going to happen. Where can people see you? What's coming up, and what do you have on your schedule?
If anybody is interested in some of the training that I'm providing, I just did a 2-day covert entry concepts training weekend with Matt Fiddler out of a company called SearPick.
Ooh.
Pretty great company. If you're into that type of specialized training when it comes to covert entry concepts, and they provide the best tools on the market. If anybody is interested in the training that I provide, you can log on to www.edsmanifesto.com. I have a calendar there providing all the dates and places I'm going to be at training-wise. And if they want to support me and some of the stuff that I'm doing, they could do it through supporting our company, which is
go buy a shirt.
Sneak Reaper Industries.
Sneak Reaper Industries. Go buy a shirt. Buy something
on Instagram. We're the OXO of the tactical community. People that are from Mexico will know what I'm saying.
Well, listen, I love having you, and you're always welcome here anytime. And I know how busy you are, and we took some time coordinating this. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time always to come on.
I appreciate the platform to rant, and I appreciate the time and space, man. Thank you.
Listen, I want to take a minute to thank all the sponsors. I want to thank Ed. It means a lot. He's a frequent guest. Every time he's in town, we'll always try to get Ed on. Go check him out. Go check out all his links. Go to the website, www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out all the brands that sponsor the show. Ed's going to leave here with all kinds of goodies. I love having him and his crew anytime. Love you guys, and we're going to head out.